Hey y'all, my name's Dora. Today I'm going to show you how to make a bath bomb. Bath bombs can be tricky and sometimes a little finicky, but anyone can make one, even you, and I'm going to show you how. Create a good bath bomb making environment. It's definitely best to make bombs in a temperature and humidity controlled room. A humidity gauge can be very helpful. Purchase a dehumidifier if you can. They really help out. I actually have two in my studio and will be purchasing another one really soon. Never make bath bombs on rainy days. Adjust and personalize recipe. I live in Louisiana. It's always hot and humid outside, and this affects bath bombs, so something that works for me may not work for you. 99% of recipes have oil. First thing I did was take this out. Adjust current recipes or even create your own. Just remember to keep wet and dry ratios balanced. For me, it's approximately 1 teaspoon of wet per 5 ounces of dry. Gain experience through experiments. 2 years ago, when I first started making bath bombs, I became obsessed with figuring out a good recipe. I kept track of every bomb I made with these experiment sheets. I'd look back to see what worked and what didn't. It took me 2 months before I made a bomb that I was proud of. On the front, I rated the bomb in every aspect, and on the back, I wrote down the recipe and notes detailing how I made the bomb. Here is an example of the experiment sheet that I used. I also performed isolated experiments with each ingredient. I learned which ingredients cause which reactions, which ones work best together, etc. So let's go over some common issues that you might run into or that you might have already experienced. If the bomb is crumbling and not staying together, the mix is too dry. Add more wet. Most sites say to spray the mix with alcohol and witch hazel, but personally I like to add polysorbate 80 at about a half a teaspoon at a time until the mix is wet enough. If the bomb puffs up out of mold, too much wet was added or wet ingredients were added too fast. If the bomb is soft, it probably wasn't packed enough or the mix was too wet. If the bomb has bumps, dry ingredients weren't sieved enough or wet and dry ingredients weren't mixed well enough. If the bomb cracks down the middle, the bomb was not molded properly. Good news! You can most likely solve this problem by shrink wrapping the bomb tightly before it's dry. Check it out, it worked! There are no cracks in this bath bomb. If the bomb has tiny cracks, the mix was too dry and just barely wet enough to mold. If the bomb is powdery to the touch, the mix was too dry or was drying out while molding bombs. If the bomb sticks to the mold, the mix is too wet. Add more dry ingredients. If the bomb isn't very active, this can be caused by so many different things: improper ingredients, improper amount of ingredients, improper storage of a bomb, etc. If the bomb doesn't float, the bomb may be too compact, but it's probably just not dry enough. Try drying the bomb for a few weeks, or just make a half a bomb or a bowl bomb. Let's make a bath bomb. A standard bath bomb recipe is 2 parts baking soda and 1 part citric acid. This is what makes them fizz. Anything else is extra. Sieving all dry ingredients together is very important. This removes all the clumps and it also gets a jump start on thoroughly mixing the dry ingredients together. Make sure the fragrance you're using is skin safe. The Poly 80 helps oils, powder color, and mica disperse evenly in water. If using mica, always add it to the wet ingredients so that it does not become airborne and you don't inhale it in. Also, always add liquid colorant to the wet ingredients. This part is very important. While you're whisking, add wet ingredients slowly to the dry ingredients. The slower you add the wet, the better. After all the wet ingredients are dry, mix ingredients thoroughly by rubbing mix between hands. Periodically toss mix up from the bottom and sides to ensure the entire batch gets mixed thoroughly. I do apologize this clip is so long, but I did want you to see how thorough I am on this step because it is so important. Take your time and mix the batch completely. If you add color powder, sieve the color powder in the batch, whisk together, and then mix once more with hands. Now it's time to mold the bath bombs. Fill one side of the mold, and then when mix is to the top, gently pack it down. Then put loose mix on top. Repeat with the other side. Once both sides are full, smush the two sides together until they touch all the way around. This shouldn't be extremely hard. If it is, you may have too much mix. Also, if it's really easy, you probably don't have enough mix. Rotate mold while tapping with metal spoon on both sides to release the bomb. If mold does not come off easily, tap it some more. Once bomb is out, place it in a holder mold and dry for 24 hours. Bombs are fragile during this time, so try not to mess with them. Once dry, shrink wrap bombs, then store them in a dry and cool place away from moisture. Bombs will continue to dry even after shrink wrapping. Drying time depends on several factors and varies greatly. Bombs take several weeks to fully dry to where they float, for me anyways. Tools. Here are some tools that I personally couldn't live without. I used to keep dry ingredients in coffee cans and had to refill them weekly, and when you're dealing with 50-pound sacks in a closet, this is no small task. So I purchased these and now I refill maybe once a month. These have been absolute lifesavers. I made a bath bomb press from a trigger clamp and 2 PVC caps. It's very easy to use. Simply place the bomb in the bottom cap, lower the top clamp so the bomb is secure, and then pull the trigger until you can't pull it anymore. Voila! I really only need this press for big bombs. The first set of molds I got were cheap and a big mistake. They dent too easily, but they do make wonderful holder molds. I even got the jumbo 3.15 inch set just to use as holders. Stainless steel molds are the only way to go. They're a bit more expensive, but there's no comparison. 2 years ago, I purchased a set of 3, and then I also bought a jumbo 3.35 inch mold set and used them for forever. Then a few months ago, I found a set of lipless molds in 7 sizes. I had been searching for a set like this and finally found it. I have a pipette for each liquid ingredient that I use. I find them much more accurate, convenient, and easier to use than measuring spoons. I do use measuring spoons for dry ingredients. I recommend a large stainless steel set. This set has 9 spoons and 8 measuring cups. With all of the different sizes, I can easily downsize a recipe, even on a really small scale. I love this set, and I use all of the different sizes too. I have broken so many of these. I use the mini ones for liquid, and I love that there's 3 sizes to choose from. I do recommend a good handle like this. These are so useful for when I'm mixing many different colors of salts, sprinkles, or whatever. If you do a lot of baking or bath making, I'm sure that you have one of these, but if not, you should definitely get one. This is how you measure ingredients by weight. And last, but certainly not least, is my cart. I love this thing. I put my most used items on it for easy access, and then when I'm done, I just roll it back in its corner. Here are tips and tricks. Always start with a simple recipe. Once you've mastered it, move on to harder ones. Keeping detailed notes will help you see what works and what doesn't. If your bombs aren't floating, don't get frustrated. Let them dry a few weeks more and then test them. Always make sure fragrances are skin safe. Moisture is the enemy when it comes to bath bombs. Use bombs within 6 months because the citric acid will start to lose its pep. If you make bombs regularly, you should consider purchasing wholesale. Thanks for watching. If you're interested in this project, you'll find helpful tips and the supply list at the bottom in the description. Let's definitely go over some very useful, helpful, and convenient